Good morning everyone. Today normally I would be showing you guys what is new in this update. However, unfortunately the servers are down for an emergency maintenance because there were a ton of bugs in yesterday's release. So when the patch kicked in, the servers got delayed multiple times yesterday, and then even after we got in, like everyone was crashing like crazy. And so they did need to do an emergency maintenance today to try to hotfix all of the issues. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show you guys a lot of stuff in game since the servers are down. However, I can talk about the new weapons as well as where to get all the new materials, and that's the main thing that I think a lot of people really care about because the new 10-star rarity weapons are incredibly powerful and are pretty dang good. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. Alright, so the very first thing I want to talk about is what on earth was crashing everyone yesterday, and it was the gorge area. I don't know what bug they had in the gorge area, but nevertheless, if you ever went there, or if you just teleported there then teleported out, you were prone to a crash sooner or later. It might have been a memory leak or something, but nevertheless, you were always crashing if you went to the gorge area sooner or later. Like Criticaster was crashing like 10 times a day. I saw Spook crash more than like 15 times. I saw Chrono crashing many times as well. Basically every streamer was crashing left and right, and just regular players were crashing as well. The crazy thing about these crashes were people were crashing at the exact same time. So you would be fighting the Ancients with like a full 32-man group, and then suddenly half of your group just disappears, just vanishes into thin air because they all get disconnected. And then, well, then you're left with like 10 people and you're kind of screwed. And so it was really rough, and I do hope that this hotfix will solve this issue because, you know, the gorge area is essentially the place to be. That is the main highlight of this update. You want to farm here for your new 10-star rarity weapons and 9-star rarity armors, and so it kind of sucked that you couldn't go there because you would crash if you ever went there. And so this is why we have this emergency maintenance. As you can see, notice of unscheduled maintenance on January 31st. So as we can see right here, it's actually going to last from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. my time, and it's actually on February 1st. And the main issue that they're going to be fixing is, of course, the gorge area on why we are crashing. Now, do keep in mind, they did put a little asterisk over here that, hey, it might take longer than the 5 hours over here, and they'll let us know at 6 p.m. my time, or when this video goes live. The videos always go live at 6 p.m. my time every single day, in case you guys didn't know. But nevertheless, that is really nice that they are finally fixing this. And the more important thing is we are considering appropriate compensation for this unscheduled maintenance. Compensation details will be announced at a later date. I feel like other than the unscheduled maintenance, we should also get compensation for just having the servers crashing left and right. It was a very unenjoyable experience. Personally, I crashed like 3-4 times and I was just like, fudge it, I'm not playing NGS anymore. And I just went on and played Pal World, to be honest with you guys. So I do think Sega owes us more compensation than just this maintenance itself, and we should also be compensated for the crazy extended maintenances yesterday, as a lot of us were waiting at 4 p.m. or when servers were supposed to come up, and it got delayed a lot. So yeah, more compensation please. However, now I want to talk about the new 10-star rarity weapons. As you can see, this is a map made by Uber where he highlighted all the different red box locations. There are new red boxes in the Kavaris region, which contains a lot of materials needed to make your new 10-star rarity weapon. So yes, you can farm in the gorge area, and you can also farm in Beluga ruins to get the new armors and the new weapons. However, you can also just farm up all the different materials and just craft the weapons itself. Now, I don't think you can craft the armors. At least when I checked the exchange shop, I did not see any of the armors. Now, there are 3 new armors available in the game right now. I'm just going to be calling these the Elena armors because I just dub everything after creators. So the first Elena armor over here is not tradable. So this one over here gives you 20 HP, 2 photon power, 5.5% all potency, as well as 20% cold resistance. This is very useful, very nice. It is actually stronger than your Octo armors. As you can see, even the Octo Arga belt and Shezas, they only give you 4.5% potency. Well, actually all of the Octo armors give you 4.5% potency. So you're getting 1% more potency for upgrading to these armors. It actually adds up to quite a bit because it's multiplicative. Currently, Emiko has 180% all potency because they did upgrade to this armor and fully min-max augmented it. So it is incredibly powerful. You're basically jumping from 160% to 180%. That's like 20% more potency. Actually, technically it's only like 10% more potency, but nevertheless, you know, the big numbers, big numbers. You're going to be very powerful when you upgrade to these armors. However, a lot of people are concerned about this not being tradable. The thing is, the other two armors are tradable. So if you get the Vita or the Vio, you can put these on the personal shop and you can sell them and you can trade them. And if you're incredibly lazy or you just don't want to deal with farming for the armors, you can just buy these off the player market. Now do keep in mind that the Vita gives you 30 HP but does not give you any photon power. The stats are exactly the same as everything else. As the Vio armor gives you 6 photon power but does not give you HP. But nevertheless, the most important part about these armors is the 5.5% all potency, and it just so happens that all 3 armors give the exact same amount of potency and also give you the 20% cold resistance so that when you go to the gorge area, you're not freezing to death all the time. Remember, once you hit 100% cold resistance, the gorge area will no longer deal any damage to you. So all you really need to do is equip 3 of these armors to give you 60% cold resistance, and then on top of that, eat some food buffs. Remember, the food that you consume should be foods from Kavaris, and that will give you even more cold resistance for a limited time. I think it's like a couple hours. And then that way, when you go to the gorge area, you're going to be immune to the frost damage, and you won't take any DOT damage when you're fighting the ancients and just traveling around and just, you know, killing stuff, which is very nice. Alright, with the armors out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about is of course the weapons. So we have the Rayar Katana over here. As you can see, it actually has a higher attack stat than the Flugelguard weapon. So does that mean the Rayar Katana is better? It really depends on your playstyle because of its weapon potential. As you can see over here, at level 6 is potency plus 36% and photon arts and technique potency plus 5%, but PP consumption is increased by 10%. This is very powerful if you're a technique user or if you're a class that always spams photon arts. However, there are plenty of classes that are very counter-heavy focus classes, such as the Braver, such as the Slayer, where you're constantly countering in order to do follow-up attacks and you're not always spamming photon arts. So does that mean that if you play those 2 classes that you should just stick with the Flugelguard? Personally, I don't think so. I think you kind of need both to complement each other. However, if you just have a Flugelguard weapon and you want to stick with it and you don't want to go and build a Rayar Katana or a Rayar weapon, that's perfectly fine. It's not the end of the world. And even if you have a Verschmel weapon with a Fixa 4 or Fixa 5, that is also okay for the time being because of the Fixa changes. So if you have a Fixa Termina on your Verschmel weapon that is level 4 or above, you're getting 24% to 25% more critical damage, which is a very big deal. It's essentially a 10% damage increase. As you can see, the old Fixa Termina at level 4 or level 5 gave you 14% to 15% critical damage, and they increased it by 10%. So even though your Verschmel weapon did get that nerf of 3% damage, you are getting 10% more damage in return. So even though they said that they did nerf the Verschmel weapons, it's not exactly a nerf. It's actually still a net positive and still a buff because of how freaking powerful these Fixa changes are. And Fixa Fatale has also been buffed significantly as well. As you can see at Fixa Fatale 3, it's 19% crit rate, 21% at level 4, and 22% crit rate at level 5. This is absolutely massive. It's so much crit. So pretty much now, Fixa Termina and Fixa Fatale are going to be the ones that you really want to look at. All of the other ones are nice to have, but you know, they're not necessary. Yeah, basically I'm going to be going for Fixa Fatale again for all of my weapons, especially my Flugelguard weapon or my Rayar weapons, because extra crit chance is super nice. Now I do need to thank Uber for providing the sheet over here, as it does help explaining these things a lot easier. Now there's still a lot of stuff that I want to show, however unfortunately the servers are still down, so I'm gonna delay that until tomorrow's video. That way I can showcase everything and show you step by step how everything works, because there are quite a few new things that have been added into the game and I just want to showcase it how to do it. it, and it's just a little bit easier to explain when you have some visual representation versus me just trying to explain it or describe it, because it's just a lot easier to understand when there's a visual aid and I'm actually walking you through it, okay?
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.